So in today's video, it's gonna be a quick one. Mainly, I just wanted to show you guys how to hardwire a battery tender on your car, specifically the Mark V Toyota Supra. Now, on all my vehicles, for the most part, I have some sort of battery tender hardwired to it. My Nissan GTR, for the 5 years I've owned it, I'd say the last 3, I had this exact battery tender hardwired to the battery, and that's the battery I've been running in that car for 5 years straight. Never had issues. My R6, I've had this bike for about 6 years now. I don't know how old the battery is, but the battery in it, when I bought it, is still the same battery because I've had it on a battery tender. I have it hardwired into the bike, and whenever I'm not riding it, I have it plugged in. So on the Toyota Supra, today I'm gonna show you how to do the exact same thing. Now I'll have both of these battery tenders linked down below. You can get them on Amazon. I have a little bit smaller one for the bike, a little bit more powerful one for the cars. But here is a look at the battery tender that I'm using. So this I've been using on the GTR for about 3 or 4 years now, and this comes with everything you're gonna need, and specifically we're using these kind of terminals. It's also gonna come with the gator clips, but the hard wiring is basically why you're gonna wanna use these ones. So for the Supra, or honestly any BMW really, this is what you're gonna look for. So we have our positive right there, and then this one right here, this is how you would actually jump start the vehicle if the battery died. However, for hardwiring a tender, you can actually use this strut bolt right here for your ground. So to go ahead and start, you're gonna unclick that, just put that in the unlock position, and then this whole panel is gonna pop up and give you a little bit better access. So from here, we're just gonna take a flathead, pop this little plastic piece up just a little bit, and you're gonna do the exact same thing over here. And with those up a couple millimeters, take a pair of pliers that has a bend in it, and we can easily just grab this and pull that piece up. And we're gonna do the exact same thing over here, get that piece out of it, and then with that flathead, you can kind of help yourself pop these out of the brackets they sit in. And then this is kind of popped in over the strut. Just firmly push that and pull it, and we'll take this piece right off. So from here, we're gonna pop off the positive terminal cover and then pop it off the backside just to get this cap removed. And then you're gonna use a T50 and you're gonna remove this positive terminal right here. It should be a little tight, but not too hard to unscrew this. And we'll go ahead and remove this entire piece. And then we're gonna take a 13 millimeter and get that one strut bolt off of the top. So next up, we're gonna take this portion of the battery tender, which is gonna come in the kit. You of course have your positive with the red and the negative with the black, and the positive is also gonna have a fuse right inside here. And on the other side, you're gonna see a plug connection, which will plug into your battery tender and just make it a lot easier. So this piece right here is actually going to stay on the car. So the way I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna feed this plug underneath this beam and fish it into this dead space on the back of the car. And obviously you can see it come through under there, and that'll just stay like that. And then next up, we're gonna take the black one with the strut bolt, and I'm gonna put that right through it. It fits perfectly, which is a really nice flush fit. And then that one is gonna go right back into the strut tower and be secured. Now it's worth mentioning, when you are tightening this one, try to keep the black cable on this far side. Don't let it rotate this way as you tighten it. So kind of hold that with your thumb, and as you go ahead and tighten this nicely, just hold it with your other finger tight. That way it'll end up looking really clean. So just giving that a firm pull, that is nice and tight, and this black cable is flush to the body, so that'll keep it out of the way, just make it looking a lot nicer. All right, so now on to the positive. Now this, once again, we're gonna want this higher side of this plastic on the upside. So we're just gonna slide that in. It's a perfect fit, so I love how they designed it. And then once again, I want this nice and flush. So I'm gonna make it go on the back side. That way the cables aren't just sticking out of here and are super visible. I want this to look as flush and factory as possible. So that's gonna sit about like that. The fuse is in a nice spot. And once again, tighten it down. You don't want the red part to twist or anything. And that should be a pretty good setup. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that down. And with everything nice and tight, you can see how flush everything looks, how good in factory. So it's gonna be a nice design where you really don't see anything. And then on to reinstalling this cover. So this is gonna just slide right over it. Now you may notice it's a little tight, doesn't quite fit. So what I'm gonna do is Dremel the backside of this plastic to fit that thick piece, so this will fit nice and flush. So basically we're gonna cut a U shape in the back of this cap, That way it can accommodate the height of that piece. So I went ahead and took this piece and just drew with some marker exactly where it needs to be cut, and that way this will fit nice and flush. So I'm just gonna take some cutters and just manually cut this to start and at least get a rough outline of where I want everything to be. And with that cut nicely and dremelled out, I can go ahead and pop this back on to the one piece. And then this is just gonna hop in just like factory. We'll get some of that plastic dust off. But now that is looking good, just like you would expect. It really can't really tell anything's aftermarket. It looks like a pretty factory setup. So now from here, we're just gonna take this one panel and this is just gonna go back into place, covering up all these cables, and then we'll just make sure the fuse is in a good spot to where it's not just in the way. And then there's actually a gap over here, so we're gonna have that piece come over there, and we'll just hook all this back into place, and I can just pull it underneath a piece of plastic trim and hide it right under here. That way whenever I need it, I have perfect access and it's connected to the right spots. So then from here, now that this is an easy access, you don't really have to worry about this hitting anything. You can just tuck it underneath the plastic. You're gonna take the other end of the battery tender, pop the cap off, and simply plug it in. Now the coolest thing, because of the way this is designed, I can just let this sit right here over the fender arch, and I can still close the hood. As you can see, we don't have to worry about this going over any body panels or anything, and of course that's just going plugged into the wall. And this is just all secure looking, normal looking, to where it doesn't look like a bunch of wires all over the place. But from here, I can at least close the hood just a little bit and just resting it like that. Don't have to worry about the cable landing on the paint or anything. It's not even touching the rim. But that is basically how you do a hardwire battery tender for the Supra. The actual battery in this car is in the trunk, and you're not supposed to actually jump it or do the tender with it in the trunk like that. So if we pop the trunk and take a look, I believe it's a AGM battery is what they call it. Just kind of a different design. Get a good look at the battery. So here it is, and again, this is not where you want to hook anything to. It just sits here, does its thing. Don't worry about trying to hook up the tender to the battery itself. That's my first initial impression, is to do that, but apparently you're not supposed to with this one. On my GTR, I did have it directly on the battery, but for the Supra, and I would assume most BMWs, probably even the Audi, you're not supposed to do that. But there you guys go, quick video just showing you how to hardwire a battery tender. I've seen this pop up a lot on a few of the Supra forums of people asking how to do it. A lot of Toyota Supra owners, these aren't exactly dailies. A lot of people, they're weekend cars. For me, I drive it as much as I can. However, lots of times I'm in other cars, press cars, on the motorcycle. So it really works out really well for me, especially when traveling, to have this plugged in, ready to go. That way everything is in tip-top shape and I can keep this battery maintained perfectly. So there you guys go, installing a battery tender on the Toyota Supra and probably pretty much every other modern BMW. Check out the links down below for these battery tenders that I use. They've been working really well for me for many, many years. But that is it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, throw a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. We'll see you all in the next video.